Well, Christian, crossing the line, did you believe it? I mean, it must have sort of, it was all too quick and unbelievable, I guess, for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I was in complete shock. Like, I didn't really ever think that our boat could beat Comanche unless they did something really wrong. I can probably see now that the set of circumstances make that possible at the end there, but realistically, I did never think that would happen. I thought we could beat them if they made a big mistake or they had damage or something, but in a straight out contest, I didn't ever think we could beat them.
Well, I'll take you and your words, not mine. My boat is a shitbox compared to Comanche, or it is a shitbox. Would you like to expand on that?
Yeah, it's funny actually. It's a pretty common term.
Yeah, it is.
If you watch something like Drive to Survive, they'll talk about the Mercedes car being a shitbox, for example. Right? But I don't think I got it from that. Really, what had happened when I first bought the boat, it won the previous thing and broke the record as petrol oil. And lots of people thought we were going to win again, and I knew the odds of that were very low because you had Comanche, you had the whole. I think there's 5 boats that year, and our odds of winning were next to no. And I probably use that term to kind of simplify the reality of the situation, and get everyone to realise that our chance of winning weren't that high. But I think we use it now, and really when I say that, if you compare Comanche to our boat, it is definitely a shitbox, right? If you do a tour, I remember 2 years ago, I was lucky enough to have a tour of Comanche at the end, and Comanche is a beautiful boat in every way, right? It's super well maintained, super well built, no expense spared during its construction and everything. But you look at ours, I mean, our boat, I mean, it's a few years older. It was, when it was designed, it wasn't really, it had like a fit out for cruising a little bit too, and so it was never super optimised for racing like Comanche has been. It, as you probably know, the keel snapped off and it capsized and floated around the ocean for a few days in the Transpac race, and it's been rebadged about 5 times. Richard Branson had it, etc. It's had a rough life, right? And it's never been maintained as well as Comanche has. So there is a vast difference, and most people don't realise that. And I suppose I wanted to point that out because mostly with the crew, what they pulled off was absolutely remarkable, right? To have that boat beat Comanche was remarkable, and I want to just highlight that in simple terminology, and I think that's the
Well, I think it resonated with a lot of people. Went around the world sort of that comment, but non-yachties could understand basically what you were saying.
Yeah.
But I think also that you were the underdog, and I think Australians like a bit of an underdog, and you were very magnanimous and with the Comanche guys, they were very good. You said how good they were in defeat, which is great. I mean, they'd had their success the year before.
Yeah.
But, good crew, good boat, good campaign, but it just wasn't their race this last year. And I think you said that as well, that, how good they'd been in defeat.
They were. I mean, I think, for example, like there was a catamaran in their way at the end, and they discarded that.
Yeah.
Herman immediately gave us the credit for winning and things like that. So, and they were great to us afterwards. I think they bought me a few too many shots that night, and I ended up having to go to bed early. But they were very nice about it and very, very sporting. So that was very much appreciated for sure.
Well, you've mentioned Tony Mutter and Chris Nicholson. I want to talk about the navigator, Louis. Yeah. He's a character from America, from the West Coast.
Yeah.
And how did he come aboard? Was he part of Tony's crew?
Yes. So Tony,
Chris Lewis.
Tony decides all the crew, including Louis. And you're right, he's a character, and he does sort of. He's a great guy to be around on the boat. He's not a grumpy navigator, and he's happy to talk to me.
He's a happy fellow.
But he's also very good with his research and very committed. So I think a lot of the success was partly that. I think having him there. To be honest, Tony would be able to better ascribe who of those crew really made the difference because he knows better than me. But undoubtedly, I know Tony's very grateful for Louis' involvement. Yeah.
But also, I want to take to your crew now that you, I think most years you run a competition, or call it what you want, within your company to select non-sailors from your company to go on board in the Sydney Hobart races. Is that right? And how's that all work?
Yeah, so what happens is we've had two sponsors. One is InfoTrack and one is LawConnect. And up until recently, I wasn't running those companies. I was a main shareholder, but not the CEO. And we would let whoever was the CEO decide how they would choose the people. So sometimes, I think in InfoTrack's case, they chose senior people and put them on. But in LawConnect's case, they had a raffle in the office and a few things like that to work out who to go on. But it's been quite a life-changing event for many of those people.
Sure,
We've had
sure.
about 24 people that have done that, so 6 years, about 4 on average. So it's been a really good thing for the staff there.
Must be a thrill for them. They're non-sailors, I guess, that just get their name drawn out of a hat.
That's right. It's actually quite if you think about, I use the word corporate warriors. We're a lot of corporate warriors on the weekends. We're driving buggies and doing go-kart races and sailing and stuff. And I think the Sydney Hobart's probably the ultimate corporate warrior sort of thing on. But you sort of need certain conditions. It's only really safe enough if you have a guy like Tony Mutter running it. You need a big boat like ours. A big, wide Supermaxi has the room to have the people. So it's very hard to do, but I think it's works very well, particularly on that boat. You probably wouldn't do it on a boat like Wild Oats because the weight would be too much of an impact. But on that boat, the weight is not that impactful because of the overall mass as well.
If the going's tough or the big sail changes, or do you put them down below or for safety?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So we do a few things for safety. They all have to do the safety course, the 2-day safety course, and we always make sure that they do an overnighter before they go out.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that once they get on the boat in Hobart, we're not turning back, no matter how upset or scared they get. They've never had that. A couple of years out of the 6, I've written emails to the staff saying, look, the conditions are bad, I recommend you don't go. No one's ever taken them up on that. They've all gone. I did that actually last year too, and I think they were grateful they kept going because they got the amazing experience of being able to win the race too. So I think it's worked very well, the whole approach for people.
And LawConnect is a legal software company, is that
well,
correct?
It's a product really.
Right.
To be honest, I'm morphing the LawConnect product into something much better. And one of the funny things about it is the sailing team did great, but the actual product hasn't been that good. But I'm actually working very hard to create a next generation LawConnect that is a really good product that we can push really hard, and that's possible.
Will there be a name change for the boat?
Well, there's a possibility, but
Stay tuned.
I'm hoping the product's so good that we don't want to change the name, but there's a possibility because we have another business that would love to sponsor it as well.
Okay, well, we're into 2024. What's the program for the boat? Hobart again this year?
Yes, we'll obviously do Hobart and we'll do the lead up, the Supermaxi Challenge and the Big Boat Day and things like that. And really the format's pretty similar to last year, where we sort of basically do the lead up in the Hobart and that's it.
Well, it looks like we might have Wild Oats back, and Comanche looks as though it's staying here, so there's going to be some good competition again.
Yeah, and from us that's good and bad. It's good for the event, it's probably bad for our chance of winning.
Well, look what happened. At least you won it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I'll give you a hypothetical, Christian, that the race record is held by Comanche of 1 day 9 hours, and that's an average speed of 18.9 knots.
Yeah.
That could easily be broken, don't you think?
Look,
not easily, but it could be broken.
Yeah, the way I understand it is because you've got these fast boats, and when you have a weather pattern that goes from north to south with you, you can be in the whole weather pattern all the way. And if you get that, and you also get good wind going up the river, it could definitely be beaten. Because a boat like ours will comfortably do 25 knots if you get the right set of conditions. So I think that it definitely can be beaten, and I think our boat could beat it. The only problem we've got is that if the conditions are good enough for us to beat it, they're probably good for Comanche as well.
But it is that last 40 miles that we've seen most years that dictate what's going to happen. Both, well, we saw it this year on line honours and this year on handicap honours.
Yeah.
That, you got into the river second and ended up winning. URM got into the river leading on handicap, and Alive basically ran them down to win on handicap. It's just that last 40 miles from Tasman to the finish, isn't it? That's so crucial.
Yeah, and it's one of the great things about the race because I think that it does make it very exciting. And our objective is always to, like obviously what happened last year, we'd love to repeat.
Yeah.
So trying to be as close as we can in the river is really, really important. But you have to be pretty close because if you look at what happened last year, if we weren't within, say, 15 minutes of them, it would have been impossible. But because we were in 15 minutes and it was light at the end, it kind of worked. But you have to be close enough because if we were 10 minutes behind, obviously Comanche would have got there ahead of us.
Yeah. Well, I think to break the record, the race starts at 1 p.m. Boxing Day. You'd have to be in Hobart by 10:15 the next night, which is doable. Doable, but you don't want to stop too many times.
No, look, it's all about the weather.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
If you get
Yeah,
that. But the reality too, I think, is in that weather condition, Comanche is a very fast boat because their sort of reaching speed is phenomenally good. So it's not ours is pretty good too, but it's not the same as theirs. So I think that but there's also a lot of high risk of breakages in that conditions as well. So, we would love to see those sort of conditions, and it would be very good for us, but also good for Comanche.
Yeah. Well, talking about high speed, interest in the America's Cup? Do you follow the America's Cup and Sail GP and those flying machines?
I do a little bit, but it's probably beyond me, I think, because I think the good thing about the Sydney Hobart is it's something I can be a part of. But I definitely can't be a part of the America's Cup.
Well, you can put some money in.
Well, yes, but it's a lot more money.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
But they are impressive, these Sail GP and these foiling boats, aren't they?
They are. Yeah. I do think the foiling stuff will come to the Sydney Hobart too, and that will be an interesting dimension. And definitely the foiling that they do on the America's Cup is sort of like the predecessor for it. There's a big difference between foiling on flat water to foiling on an ocean, but I think that it'll happen over time, I'm sure.
Well, I think the Vendée Globe, which is the single-handed round the world race, which starts in November this year, I think we're going to see a lot of foiling monohulls in that round the world race for sure.
Yeah. And I agree.
There's still a lot of them out there now doing it, actually.
Yeah.
All those big tries are doing it. It's remarkable.
It is, yeah. And it's possible. It'd be very expensive, but it's possible to build a 100-foot foiling boat, which would be interesting to see. But it's a very expensive proposition.
Right. We'll stay tuned and watch with interest. Yeah. Well, Christian, thank you very much. I mean, as I said to you a number of times, I think everyone was very thrilled for you winning the line honours in the race. I think trying for so long and putting a big campaign together like that, I think everyone was very pleased for you. So good luck for 2024. Get the shitbox going well. and we look forward to seeing you on the starting line, and certainly stay well and good luck.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate that.
Wonderful.
That was very pleasant. Thank you.
Very good.
And thank you again for your wonderful commentary. I love listening to it.
Thank you.